Attending an international school all my life, I never really took pride in being Burmese. I'm as westernized as I can be, watching Hollywood movies, reading Shakespearean plays, and indulging myself in Western philosophies. I eagerly waited for my day to study abroad in the developed nations which I've always admired. That was me for the first 14 years of my life, until it all changed from a single puppet show. I grew up in an ethnically Chinese household, but a dominantly Burmese neighborhood. So being surrounded by many cultures was the norm. One day, I'll be wearing tameng and visiting pagodas, and the next, I might be making dumplings and baozi at home. In fact, I attended 3 schools during my childhood. A Chinese school during the mornings and evenings, an American curriculum-based school throughout the day, and a Burmese school on the weekends. At my English school, I would learn about the grand achievements of Western nations, how they constructed famous architectures like the Eiffel Tower, the Colosseum, the Empire State Building, how they produced famous artists and inventors, and how they were the pioneers of change and innovation. At my Chinese school, I would learn about the 5,000 years of Chinese history and the intricate meanings of each Chinese alphabet, my friends from Lashu and teachers from mainland China. Finally, on the weekends, Burmese lessons with kids from my neighborhood. While I enjoyed meeting friends from such diverse backgrounds, as a child, it made it hard for me to find my belonging. I wondered if I was Chinese, Burmese, or simply just a combination of all the cultures that I have been exposed to. And so, despite being an art enthusiast, living in Mandalay, the historic centers of arts in Myanmar, I remain disconnected from my culture. Last year, my English teacher organized a field trip to the Burmese Marionette Theater after learning about Western pop music. We couldn't find any concerts with foreign singers, so we turned to the locals instead. The day came, we arrived at the entrance, but I wasn't feeling excited at all. I imagined the performance to be like those old 90s music tape played in my neighborhood, where the instruments clash loudly without coherence. The good thing is that my assumption turned out to be completely incorrect. The show was fascinating, the cast so full of passion, and the plots artistically capturing the essence of Burmese history. It was the first medium that inspired me to take pride in my nation and pursue art. I remember walking inside, immediately jump-scared by the strange figures hanging over the walkway. They were Yote puppets, which were quite distinct from the Barbie dolls that I grew up with. They had all sorts of expression: sadness, anger, fright, and came in different forms: monkeys, angels, baloo. While knowing nothing about this art form, it was obvious that they were carefully crafted by artists and not mass manufacturing machines. Feeling intrigued after the careful observation, I sat down on the wooden bench inside the theater and waited for the chairperson. She welcomed us eagerly, showed us the stage, backdrop, and signline, a traditional Burmese orchestra. Moments later, me and my classmate welcomed the first performer of the show, the lady playing the Burmese harp. The audience silenced as she struck the string slowly. Potato chips and popcorn noises faded. Her soothing voice, the musical sound of the wooden harp, and the stage light shining on the gold flakes of her tameng. The performance was unlike any that I've ever seen or had. Then surprisingly, a puppet began dancing with a lady. The two seemed to be competing against each other, one masterfully controlled by the cast, its motion as natural as your life human, while the dancer being so flexible to maintain almost the same height as a 3-foot puppet. My immediate reaction after feeling this fascinated was to learn more about this art form and share it with more people. After the event, I continued to wonder about the stories behind these puppets and if I could discover even more Burmese artistries, those hidden gems. So I went to Bagan, one of UNESCO World Heritage Sites in Myanmar, to deepen my understanding of the Burmese marionette, observe ancient ruins, and search for more art forms. From there, I encountered many artists who generously shared their knowledge with me. Of the most important one is the central concept of Yote, three bodies, one soul. It is known that in order to capture the essence of Burmese marionette, three bodies, a singer who speaks and sings, a puppeteer who controls motion, and a Sangwai orchestra must ignite into one single soul to bring the puppet to life. And this concept, of course, doesn't just come out of nowhere. It was developed through centuries of evolution and experimentation. In the very beginning, Burmese marionettes were a form of entertainment for monarchs. But later, since the royal style was so great, they became patronized as a platform for sharing history, culture, and religion with the public. They provided Buddhist explanations for the beginning of the world, the creation of mankind, the inhabitant of spirits, and the establishment of Burmese kingdom. Each of them consists of many plots and characters that add variety. Some portray serious topics like a political discussion between a king and minister, while others share more down-to-earth folktales, like the romance between a prince and princess. So really, the Burmese marionette met a lot of different needs. It can satisfy your intellectual curiosity while updating you on the most recent gossip. This evolution of the Burmese marionette, from solely being an entertainment for monarchs to a national heritage, made me realize that presenting a cultural significance requires collaborative efforts from artists across different fields. Guided by this understanding, I began to fully immerse myself even further in the 10 flowers, or Myanmar's 10 traditional art form. They build the groundwork for almost every other cultural heritage, including the Burmese marionette. They are Baji painting, Babe blacksmith, Banyun lacquerware, continue, Babu sculpture, Badao decorative designs, Bantin bronze casting, Babu design on lathe, Batang gold and silversmith, Banyan bricklaying and masonry, and Badamount stone sculpting. These art forms were deemed by our Burmese ancestors to be the prerequisites of all the beauties that exist around us, and thus were named Ban, which means flowers in Burmese. They are found in 1,000-year-old mural paintings in caves, in carvings of ancient pagodas in Bagan, donations and ombos to the monks, daily attire and jewelry that we wear, and the houses that we live in. Whether you notice it or not, these art forms are an integral part of our life. But when Western influence becomes more prominent, they begin to disappear as their core values of tradition and culture are replaced. Burmese arts are now almost never featured internationally nor taught to the local young generation. This is why Myanmar, just like many other third world countries, now face the crisis of losing its heritage and cultural homogenization. But with the correct method and a united effort, we can restore them. From my journey with the 10 flowers and the Burmese marionette, I was able to come up with my own central concept of the 3 bodies, 1 soul, or tailor it to the current situation. 3 bodies, a creator, a consumer, and a preserver, must synchronize to pass down our rich heritage to future generations. This idea can be used to revive any lost cultures around the world. Since I'm more familiar with the Burmese arts, I will use the disappearance of them as an example to explain the importance of 3 bodies in a thriving culture. First are the creators, who lay the framework for the overall development, for better or for worse. Currently, there are only 2 running marionette theaters in Myanmar. But things used to be totally different for Yote 200 years ago. There were hundreds of puppet shows and troupes all across the nations. A trainee learned and honed their craft for at least 5 to 10 years before achieving mastery. Puppeteers were honored for their years of dedication and were paid very well. However, in today's fast-paced world, where instant gratification and quick success are often prioritized, the idea of spending years on a traditional art is simply unappealing. As a result, this decline in creators have had a direct impact with the consumption rates for Burmese arts. Compared to many mass manufacturing items that can be produced quickly and cheaply, Burmese handicrafts are considered time-consuming and expensive. So they're now mostly seen in monasteries, making their customer base very limited. But when the custom orders run out, artists have no choice but to go back to the small quantity of craft they can produce and raise the price even further for a sustainable income. In response to all these problems, the few remaining artists have tried to combine traditional art with modern technologies to meet more customers' needs. Bamboo artists would now use stucco as a replacement for wood, so it's easy to carve and cheaper for a consumer. Traditional baji and badao are incorporated into book covers and commercial calendars. The Burmese marionette, too, have been tailored to meet more tourist needs, like providing smaller-sized yote puppets as souvenirs for tourists. Throughout the decades, these small group of preservers are the only ones that have been constantly active. However, without the consumer's financial support and the creator's continuation of practices, it will be impossible to fully revive Burmese art. Our heritage has the power to connect all of us as human beings with our past, present, and future. It also brings us the responsibility to protect it. So I urge all of you to become one of the three bodies: a creator, a consumer, a preserver, or be all of them in battling this crisis with actionable steps. Because each of us holds the power to make a choice and a difference. The next time you hang out with your friends, try considering a traditional Burmese Marionette Theater instead of the cinema. Stop by the local craft stalls, aside pagodas, to purchase some goods and show support to the artist. Take a break from social media and the overwhelming global connectivity to observe your surroundings and the ancient heritage that our ancestors have left behind. Through making these small yet meaningful choices, you will be safeguarding an identity that will transcend the present and future. You will be acknowledging generations of overlooked artists while empowering the generations yet to come. And most of all, you will be preserving a cornerstone of Burmese culture amidst our ever so intertwined world. Thank you.